Hello, I'm Paul DeNigris, Professor of Digital Video here at the University of Advancing Technology, and I'm the writer-director of Fallout. What you're about to watch is the split-screen version where you will be able to compare what we had when we finished green screen photography and then what our finished shots look like. Now, the split screen is going to kick in after the credit sequence, because there's really nothing to compare to here in the credit sequence. This will make sense once we get to the split screen part. But for now, let me talk a little bit about the credit sequence. This shot in particular is my homage to James Cameron's Terminator 2. And that's one of those films that was definitely influential on me in terms of writing this and in terms of the style that we were going for. There's a lot of movies and television shows that we talked about throughout the production of this, and actually there's a list. We give a little nod in the acknowledgement section of the credits at the end of the movie to all the creators of these different properties that have influenced us over the years. So the split screen version is going to kick in right about now after this fades out. And you'll see how this is going to work. Top will be our pre-production and bottom will be our finished. And on shots like this, where you've got no live action photography whatsoever, you're just going to see storyboards up top. And then when we actually get into the photography, you're going to be able to compare top and bottom. It's really most evident once we get into green screen, and you can really see how much work the student crew did on the film, and see what we had to work with when we wrapped our photography. Our green screen has those little yellow dots on all distributed all around, and what those are for is for motion tracking. I'll get back to that in a second. This is a really cool sequence. This was inspired by something I read in a book by theoretical physicist Michio Kaku, and Dr. Kaku was one of our speakers at commencement a few years back. The concept of these little microscopic robots being used for real-time holographic telemetry, and that's what you see here. So to go back to the dots on the green screen, those little yellow dots are there to track the camera movement. So when our camera is moving around, particularly in these handheld shots, it allows us to pin our virtual background to the original photography so that it all seems to move with a consistent camera move. In this sequence, the battle, you're going to see mostly backgrounds that were generated as two-dimensional photographic assets. One of our choices in this particular sequence of the film was we did not want to have to completely create this destroyed city of the future in 3D. Just the amount of models and textures we'd have to generate would be would really be prohibitive. So what we decided to do was do a lot of two-dimensional photographic elements and layer them in 3D using Adobe After Effects. And so what you're actually looking at are real photos of downtown Phoenix that then we took into Photoshop and doctored up to make it look like the city had been through this cataclysmic war at some point before the film started. And so what we were doing was we're taking destroyed buildings out of photos from Baghdad and Beirut and cities all over the world that have suffered terrorism and war, and we were digitally grafting them onto our images that we shot in Phoenix. Now, a notable exception to this rule is the terrorist lair, which is actually a 3D model that's created in Maya and textured, and simply because we couldn't find an environment that we could photograph that was going to work for us and give us everything that we needed for the terrorist lair. And terrorists always hang out in these abandoned warehouses, don't they? Anyway, one of the things you may notice as you look at the green screen shots is that a lot of these elements were shot in multiple passes. A lot of times we couldn't fit all the actors in a shot at the same time. And in particular, when you see multiple terrorists in a shot together, those guys actually weren't in shot at the same time, like this particular shot right here. Those three terrorists were shot in three separate green screen passes, and that's just a matter of economics. We didn't want to have to buy and produce multiple copies of the Israeli particle rifle prop. So we just built one, and then anytime you see multiple terrorists, they're a comp. They're composited together because, after all, everything is going to be put together in a composite anyway. So why not just economize? That's one of the great benefits of shooting on green screen. Here's another example where all the actors didn't necessarily have to be on set at the same time. And part of that was because we were reusing the tactical vests that our good guys are wearing. The terrorists were also wearing them. So it limited the amount of costumes we had to buy and or procure, and limited the number of props we had to build and things like that. One of the things you may notice as you in particular when you look at close-ups of the actors is that we've done a lot of post-color correction on them to give them sort of a painted look, to make them a little less photographic. And we were not going for photorealism at all in the film. It wasn't ever our intent to try and do a photorealistic universe for the movie. We definitely wanted to go for a stylized. I always use the expression, it's like a graphic novel come to life, and that was kind of the idea, is that we wanted to make it all feel like it seamlessly belonged together, so that people that were shot live action on the green screen, when composited into a background that had been either textured and rendered in Maya or that had been heavily photocomposited in Photoshop, that things would all sort of look like they belonged together, that there wouldn't be this jarring difference between the live action people and their computer generated or heavily altered background. So now as we get into the second half of the movie after the bomb goes off, now we're in pretty much exclusively 3D Studio Max environments here that were modeled and textured. And again, this is because we were looking to create a completely unique environment here. We didn't have any place that we could go and take photos of our military base of the future. One of our heavy influences on this film was Stargate SG-1. Myself and a bunch of the students that were part of the crew, we were all big Stargate SG-1 fans, and so we always had the idea that this base was kind of like Stargate Command on that series, and our original concept was much more of an underground bunker, but our production designer, Siui Lim, he came up with these just fantastic designs for this much more stylized, very futuristic kind of base, and so we ran with it. And then when Stargate Universe came out, we realized that Siui's designs were very much like the corridors and doorways of the Starship Destiny on that show. So we were all pretty stoked that it kept it in sort of in line with what had been our big touchstone influence for the film. And you see that in the character names. The couple of the guys in the Wild Cards unit are named O'Neill and Shepard, after characters from Stargate, and also Katrina's character here, the memory extraction tech. Her name is Carter, after Colonel Carter from Stargate. Kind of inside references. A lot of the things in the film are references in some way, either to films or TV shows that my students and I loved, or directly to UAT culture. So the inclusion of Dr. Kaku's talk about nanobots and things like that, that's part of what makes this place unique, is that we're blending all these cool different things. A love of movies, a love of games, theoretical physics, robotics, all kinds of cool concepts, and we try to get as many of them as possible into the film, and definitely make it feel like this is a project that was born of the culture here. So the concept of virtual reality, the concept of taking a battlefield and turning it into almost like a tabletop game simulation, definitely in keeping with a lot of the culture here at UAT. Now, I really wanted to make the film as intimate as possible, and part of that was because of the story I was telling, and also part of it was because of the limited size of our green screen stage. But every once in a while you get a cool shot like this that we wanted to put in there to just broaden out the world a little bit and give you a feel for what the grander canvas of this environment was like. I want to talk about that helmet just for a second, the helmet that we see Hopper wearing in this memory extraction sequence. And what's cool about that helmet is it began life as a 3D Studio Max model and was actually printed in plastic by our rapid prototyping printer. So it's a completely unique prop that was created for the film, and it's one of the cool little tech things that I love about the process of making movies here at UAT is that we have the ability to do stuff like that, to essentially manufacture our own unique props and things like that to make our films have their own unique identity. So a lot of our props are reused items. O'Neill's big plasma gun, which we called the BFG at the beginning of the film. That's made out of coffee cans and Sunny D containers and an old CD rack and things like that. Found materials, but every once in a while, it's nice to be able to just say, "Hey, let's make something that's never existed before. Let's model it. Let's conceptualize it. Let's model it. Let's print it out." And there you have it. That helmet that Hopper's wearing. It's something totally unique that didn't exist before this movie was made. Props are really important, particularly when you're shooting on a green screen, because it gives the actors something concrete to sort of focus their performance. And in a way, Anders, the fellow who plays Hopper, he had it kind of easy. We'd stick the helmet on him and bandage his eyes, and he could totally believe that he was in that environment and experiencing those sensations. Whereas a lot of the other actors, they have to completely imagine what they're seeing on the tablet computer, or imagine where the doorway that they're walking through is. And Katrina Matuzik, who plays Carter, she probably had one of the hardest jobs because she's got to interact with the memory extraction console, and all she had was a stack of wooden boxes and flickering blue light in her face, and me telling her, where she was supposed to look and where the hologram was going to be, and basically, she had to imagine what the console looked like and all of that stuff. And it's a real testament to the quality of the cast here that they were all able to envision these things and to really inhabit this space that didn't exist, and bring some reality to their performances. And I'm really proud of the performances that I got out of everybody. And it was a real learning experience for all of us that worked on this to have to imagine everything. You walk onto a real set, and it's kind of easy to feel like, okay, we're really in this situation, and this is the space that the characters inhabit, and it helps the actors to develop their performance and to kind of feel what the characters are supposed to be feeling. But here, you're walking into a green room, and you're surrounded by stands and lights and cables, and you look off camera, and there's nothing but the crew, and it's kind of difficult. So I give these guys a lot of credit for hanging in there for the entirety of production and being able to have faith that they were going to be surrounded by really cool images that were going to make this world feel real. And of course, now you got to have your twist ending. I love my twist endings. Everybody who's seen any of my previous films, I love the twist at the end. So I had to have that here. And of course, Rawls had to get his comeuppance. So there was a good example of actors that weren't on set at the same time. Cal Epps and Katrina Matuzik, they were never scheduled on set at the same time, so we just shot them in separate passes. I love this scream that my buddy Steve Briscoe gives us at the very end, and it just sums everything up. It's one of my favorite moments I've ever put on film. That ending shot. Well, that's Fallout, and I hope you enjoyed watching the split screen version, and I hope you dig the movie as a movie on its own, and I hope you can really appreciate how much work my students and I put into it. It was over a year of our lives making this movie happen, and I wouldn't trade a second of it. It was an absolutely amazing experience, and I was privileged to work with just an incredibly talented cast and crew, and this student crew that worked on this thing. They all proved themselves to be real professionals in my eyes, and I know we're going to see great things from them in the future, and we're going to see see them all build their resumes with some amazing, awesome work going forward, and I'm proud to have been part of their development as professionals.